is organizing international on relevance of Srimad Bhagabat Geeta for global peace in present time. I request Dr. Saroj Kant Chaudhary, Associate Professor, Rajdhani Government College, BBSR, to coordinate this webinar. Saroj sir, please.
Dr. Saroj Kant Chaudhary.
I request again Saroj sir, please coordinate the whole program.
Am I audible, sir? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Namaskar. All the respected dignitaries present here. Today, we are going to have the best topic, that is the relevance of Srimad Bhagabat Geeta for global peace at present. Present world is under the pressure of war, violence, and there is human being are bare necessity of peace, searching peace. So what are the messages given by Srimad Bhagavat Geeta is nowadays the discussion. And today we have the brilliant speakers with us to speak on how Srimad Bhagavat Geeta establishes the global peace and can make it is sure that world peace can be restored. Today we have with us our President, Dr. Prasanna Kumar Mahapatra, who will introduce the guests. Today we have also with us Professor Devaprasad Das, who will introduce the guests, and Honorable Resource Persons Madhavananda Das, Director, Bora, USS, and we have with us Swami Avadhuta Maharaj, leading monk of Moscow, USSR. Thereafter, we'll have question and answer and note of thanks. So now I request the President of organization, Dr. Prasanna Kumar Mahapatra, to give his welcome speech. Dr. Mahapatra.
Dear divine souls, Pranam, Namaskar. I welcome to you all to this international webinar, Relevance of Bhagavad Gita for Global Peace at the present time. I also welcome to our esteemed resource persons, Madhavananda Das, the Honorable Director, Gora from USA, and Swami Avadhutta Maharaj, the leading monk from Moscow, USSR. Professor Dr. Devaprasad Das, Professor of Ayurveda, Gopal Ayurveda College, Puri. Program Coordinator, Dr. Saroj Khan Chaudhary, Associate Professor, Radhani College, Bhubaneswar. Dr. Dayanidhi Das, Subrat Kumar Panigrahi, Priyadarshini Naik, the trustees of the foundation, and the esteemed divine participants of this webinar. Once again, I welcome you all to this webinar, Relevance of Bhagavad Geeta for Global Peace at the present time. This foundation aims at to find peace and bliss in lives and to maintain a blissful life in the society by realizing the being which is within us and by realizing the reality and the ultimate truth. Peace. It's a great question for us. Really, what peace is? Peace is emotional equilibrium, tensionlessness in life, stillness of thought, state of bliss, mental equipoise, sthita prajna, absence of desire, anger, greed, and hatred. Calmness or intermental calmness, sound and balanced mental state of mind, energy working, noble goals, then controlled state of all the fluctuations of the mind, samatha, and joy of living. Bhagavad Gita is truly the guide of human being. It encourages, protects, elevates with spiritual food. As a friend, Bhagavad Gita never orders us to do something. It gives suggestion only. Indian culture is based on spiritual world. India stands for unity and diversity, which paves the way for global peace and harmony. Peace is our nature. God is Sachidananda. That means Sat, Chit, Ananda, or truth, consciousness, and bliss. Truth and consciousness gives us peace of mind, which results in unending happiness or bliss, which has no opposite, like opposite of heat, just like it's cold. We are peaceful by nature. Bhagavad Gita clearly states that when there is no peace, there can be no happiness. Our mind becomes a peaceful when the mind is pure, and mind becomes pure when we do not talk ill of others, when we are usefulness or unselfish or egoless, free from anxiety, then we find peace. It is reflected in the second chapter, shloka number 66, 70, and 71 of Srimad Bhagavat Gita. That is, Nasti buddhira juktasya, nacha juktasya bhavana, nacha bhavayata santi, asadasya kuta sukham. Apurjamanam achal pratishtham samudra mapa pravisanti jadvat, tadvat kama yang pravisanti sarve sasanti apnoti nakama kavi. Vihaya kamanya sarvan pumam sarati nispruha nirmama nirahankara sasantin adhigacchati. If we'll translate in English language, the meaning of these slokas are: he who cannot control his mind and senses cannot determine intellect and contemplation. Without contemplation, no one cannot find peace. Without peace of mind, how one can find happiness? As the water of different rivers enter into the ocean, which is full from all sides, remains undisturbed. Likewise, he in whom all enjoyments merge themselves without causing disturbance attains peace. not he who anchors after such enjoyments, who is free from all the desires and moves freely without attachment, egoism, and thirst for enjoyment attains peace. My dear participants, we have with us the esteemed resource persons who will give true information, who will highlight about the theme, who will give the true information which is highly essential in our lives, even in the present moment. Let us, my dear participants, come and listen to the great divine souls about the relevance of Bhagavad Gita for global peace at the present moment. Once again, I welcome you all to this webinar. My sincere request, all the participants, please mute the audio and video by which we can listen from our honorable guests, honorable resource persons in a clear manner. Namaskar, Pranam to all the divine souls. Namaskar. Dr. Devaprasad Das, please introduce the honorable guests. Professor Dr. Devaprasad Das.
Hello. Thank you, Dr. Mahapatra. Hello. Thank you,
Yes,
Dr. Mahapatra, for your nice presentation in your welcome speech. Now I request Professor Devaprasad Das, former principal of Gopabandhu Ayurvedic College, Puri, to give brief introduction about the esteemed speakers of this evening. Professor Devaprasad Das.
So, namaskar. Jai Jagannath.
Namaskar, sir. Yes.
So, friend, it is high time
because we
hear the Mahabharata war, and now the war between Russia and Ukraine. And during that time, Kurukshetra, they fought each other, two brothers. So now in Russia, there are two brothers. One is Russia, one is Ukraine.
Please unmute your video. Yes, it is.
It is okay?
It's okay.
So we have a two.
Professor Das.
Yes, sir. 1 minute.
You can put.
Okay, sir. It is audible, Prasanna Babu?
It is audible. It is audible. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So we have two eminent speakers. One is from USA, one is from Russia. So one is monk, one is grihastha. And two are stalwart in Gita. and their duty to give the lectures throughout to motivate on Gita and peace. So one is the Madhavananda Das. He is the editor of the Gora, Gaudiya Odia Research Center, that established in Puri. He made lot of work on the Gaudiya places, Gaudiya culture in Odisha, and he gave lot of talk on series Kurukshetra. He born in America, and his Guru Maharaj is Odia Guru. And I love that man. His style of presentations, I impress. So I think I will introduce with you in the world to listen from him. He has a family. He is a grocer. But how he lived the life and how he talked to people. Really, it is from my heart. I impressed with the talk in between Madhananda Prabhu and you. So I would request Madhananda Prabhu, please go on the topic. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dev Das. It's nice to see you. Hare Krishna. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes, yes.
very good. I'm also very impressed and grateful to Dr. Prasant Kumar Mahapatra. Thank you very much. You're very learned, and I can see the Gita is very dear to your heart. So I'd like to say a few words. Dr. Dev Das, who's our old friend, requested me I say a few things. Let me just begin with a little invocation. Gora Graganya Gana Gotra Goloruharam Goranga Gudatama Gopyada Kopa Briksham Gopala Gada Ratidam Yati Singha Gora Govinda Deshikavaram Satatam Namami Gurave Gurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Pancha Kalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I want to thank all of you very much for coming together like this and having some discussion. It's very, very important for learned and thoughtful people to come together, even if we don't always agree, but to hear from each other, and we'll learn from each other. The Vedic culture advocates Vada discussions that are in the mode of goodness. So it's very, very helpful to have programs like this, and I want to thank you very much. And I'd like to suggest that the real peace formula for the world is found in Bhagavad Gita. And anything else is just like you may have a big boil on your arm, and it hurts. And so you blow on it. That's not going to help the boil. You have to do some cutting. You have to do something serious. So there's so many different solutions: economic solutions, political solutions, psychological solutions, so many ecological solutions which people are giving in the world. But all of those are just like blowing on a boil. They're not holistic. I'd like to speak to you something about the holistic peace formula which is offered in Bhagavad Gita, and which, in my humble opinion, as I'd like to show you tonight, is the only solution that can really bring about world peace. Because when we have our economic problems, solutions, we have our political solutions. Always is going to be some problem because there's some self-motivation. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th chapter, text 29, just the last words in the 5th chapter, Krishna says, Bhoktaram yagitapasam sarvaloka mahesham suridam sarvabhutanam gyatvamam shantim richati. That if we want shanti, he says, Gyatva shantim richid, someone who knows me, Gyatva in this way, then they'll be shanti. And the first thing is that we should understand that the Lord, Jagannath, Bhagavan, Krishna, is Bhoktaram. He is the beneficiary for all the works that we do, for all the yagyas, for all the tapasya. He's Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, he's the Ishvara, the Maha Ishvara of all the different planets. He's Suridam, Sarvabhutanam. He's everyone's greatest friend. Now, that may sound like something just coming from someone who's a Hindu or a Vaishnav, but in Vedic culture, we don't mind what name you want to call God. But we should understand that God has these particular qualities. That he should be offered all sacrifices, all the penances and austerities we do. He's controller of everything. He's everyone's friend. And if we understand that, regardless if you want to call him Yahweh, or you want to call him Allah, or you want to call him Krishna, or Jagannath, then there can be peace in the world. Because this is a holistic process. We have to have something holistic. Again, in the 5th chapter of the Gita, text 18, Krishna speaks about vision. Vidyavanaya sampane brahmani gavi hastani shuni chaiva swapake cha pandita samadarshinaha. That someone who's really a pandit, he's samadarshi. He sees with equal vision everyone. He sees that someone may be a Brahmin, and that person has the quality of vidya, knowledge. A soul may be in the body of a cow, Gavi, or Hasti in the body of an elephant, or Shuni in the body of a dog, or Sapake in the body of a dog eater. But a learned person treats all of them equally. And conversely, the Bhagavad Gita again in chapter 16, Krishna describes the root of demoniac mentality. It's based upon our conception of ourself. It's not based upon what religion you have, what language you speak, what kind of food you like to eat, but it's based upon the conception we have of ourself. So the demoniac mentality is asatyam apratistam te, jagadohar nishvaram. That they think there's no cause, asatyam apratistam te, that this world, it's really ultimately not real. And it has no apratisha, it has no foundation. Jagad ahuranishvara. They don't see any God in control. The only cause they see for it then, aparaspara sambhutam, they say it has no real cause, but the only cause they see is kam anyat kama hoitukam, is due to lust. As one song when I was growing up as a boy in America, I was singing that they say that the boys watch the girls and the girls watch the boys as the world goes by. That's the nature of the world. We have sex in the center of everything. We need to have a holistic vision. And that holistic vision means that not just that we want to be nice to each other, we want to speak some peaceful words or something, we want to take classes in how to speak properly and listen properly to the other person. But holistic life means that we have to have some understanding of the cause in this world. And so the demoniac persons, their mentality is asatyam apratishtam te jagadoharanishwaram. They don't see any other cause. The only cause is lust. That's the only purpose of life. But holistic life means that we see the Lord behind everything. And therefore the Ishopanishad begins with the invocation. Om Purnam Madapurnam Idam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vasishyate. That the absolute truth is Purna. it's complete. It has to be complete. And even if that complete whole, some part of it is taken, because he's a complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, still he's complete. So what's needed today is some change in consciousness. This idea is saying that some people are enemies, some people are friends, based upon their caste, based upon the color of their skin, based upon their birth. It's an evil thing. I've been living in Jagannath Puri, in Orissa. I've been living in Orissa since 1993. Perhaps longer years than some of you who are watching this have been living today. And I don't know so much Oriya, but I know one phrase, Bideshi Prabeshnishe. I often hear this thing, you're not allowed inside the temple, and I don't mind that. Sometimes I see Western devotees become disturbed by that, but I don't mind, because I see that Bhagavan Anka Icha, that it's up to the Lord, it's the Lord's desire. I don't blame the Pandas, I don't blame the government, I don't blame the Chokidars of the temple, I blame Lord Jagannath. But we should have a conception. As followers of Vedic culture, there should be a conception. And the conception should be based upon consciousness. Krishna never speaks. In the Gita, he says that Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that you should understand my birth. But when he speaks about Vanashram, understanding the nature of the living entities, he doesn't speak about Janma, rather he speaks about one's karma and one's consciousness, one's activities. It's not according to someone's birth. Because we see in Vedic culture sometimes demons like Ravan, guna karma vibhavasa, Krishna says. By the guna and the karma, we understand someone. Otherwise, Ravan was born as a grandson in Vedic literature, but he's a demon. And on the other hand, Prahlad Maharaj is the son of Hiranyakashipu. He should be a Daitya, but he's a great devotee. So we should accept people based upon their qualification, based upon their qualities. And we should not hate them. We shouldn't identify that this person is a friend, this person is an enemy. In the Srimad is described as illusion. Jayam tamtar jayam shatram asaya vegam aruntudam tana vijitchakechit kurvancha sadvigraham artyamartyar mitranudasina vipun vimudaha. That there's this terrible enemy who's Durjaya. He's a Shatra, he's our enemy, and he's a Durjaya Shatra. He's a very, very difficult enemy to conquer. Asaya Vega, he has these urges which are very, very difficult to conquer over. And that enemy is our mind. And in that, with our mind, we're identifying, we have a Sat Vigraham. We have some useless quarrels that are going on in this world. Because we identify this person is a Mitra, he's my friend, and this person, Udasina, he's indifferent, but this person is my Ripun, he's my rival, he's my enemy. And in this way, the Mudaha. People are completely under illusion. To Swami Prabhupada, someone once asked him a question that I wonder, can I share the screen? I can here, great. Let me just show you his statement, very beautiful. Just a moment here. He was once asked that for a devotee, what is a real enemy? I'd like to share with you a few thoughts about this. And let's get on my screen here. There we go. Thank you for your patience. There it is. Devotee asked him, Prabhupada, what is the devotee's greatest enemy? And he said he himself, because he's a rascal, he's his own greatest enemy. Give up this rascaldom and you become your friend. Nobody's your enemy. You are your own enemy. This is the philosophy of Bhagavad Gita. There is no real enemies. The enemy is there in our mind. And we see even amongst Western film. I'll show you another little cartoon. This is by Walt Kelly. And it's a statement. Pogo once said, we've met the enemy and he is us. They had a long comic strip for a long time, and the characters in the Pogo comic strip, who were animals in the forest, were going to war, but they never met the enemy. But they had to go to war. And then finally, the conclusion, they had the last line in the comic strip was, we've met the enemy and he's us. So we should meet the real enemy. Krishna, in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, he takes Arjuna in between both armies. And he gestures at both armies and he says, oh, Arjuna, here is the enemy. The enemy is not just the core of us. The enemy is also his bodily identification of thinking himself a Pandava. And to indicate that first chapter of the Gita, Arjuna is lamenting like anything, because he's thinking, how can I fight? How can I try to kill my teacher, how can I kill my cousin brother Duryodhan? How can I kill my teacher? How Dronacharya? How can I kill these persons? So unless we develop a change in our consciousness, how is there ever going to be peace? I'll share something else with you. This is a wonderful poem by George Bernard Shaw, who was a great poet and a great thinker, and also a vegetarian and someone who greatly appreciated Bhagavad Gita. Mr. Shah described, we are the living graves of murdered beasts, slaughtered to satisfy our appetites. We never pause to wonder at our feasts. If animals like men can possibly have rights, we pray on Sundays that we may have light to guide our footsteps on the path we tread. We're sick of war. We do not want to fight. The thought of it now fills our hearts with dread. And yet, we gorge ourselves upon the dead. Like carrion crows, we live and feed on meat, regardless of the suffering and the pain we cause by doing so. If thus we treat defenseless animals for sport or gain, how can we hope in this world to attain the peace we say we are? On one occasion, a wealthy devotee invited Jayadev to his home. We're just trying to tell the story from Bhaktamala of Nabha Goswami about the son of Arissa, Jayadev Goswami. On one occasion, a wealthy devotee invited Jayadev to his home. This wealthy man, this devotee, wanted to give Jayadev some dakshina, some coins or something. But Jayadev, being a sadhu, he said, no, this is the cause of all trouble. I don't need this. I'm a simple person. I don't need your money. But that wealthy person really, really wanted to give it to him. So he secretly took part of the chadar of Jayadev Goswami and he tied some gold coins in the chadar. Then as Jayadev was going back to his ashram, on the way he met some gundas, some dacoits. And Jayadev asked them, oh, my dear sirs, where are you going? And those gundas, those thieves, they replied to him, oh, we're going the same place you're going. and from their comments, Jayadev could understand that these are not good people. And then he understood, oh, I have these coins here. So he untied the coins and his cloth and he gave them to the thieves. He said, you take as much of this as you want. If you want to give something to me, you can. And so the thieves are thinking to themselves, this guy, he's very, very clever. He's afraid of us. And so he's given us everything without even asking. But as soon as we arrive at a town, then he's going to call the police. He's going to have us arrested. And so thinking like that, the thieves, they walked with Jayadev, but they kept some distance. And they were whispering amongst themselves. And one of them said, think we should kill him. Another one said, we already got this wealth from him. What's the point in killing him? And a third one said, but wait a minute. If later on he recognizes us and he tells the king to punish us, then what are we going to do? So then a fourth thief gave his opinion. He said, we shouldn't kill him, and we shouldn't leave him alone either. Let's break his arms and legs and throw him in a ditch. And then we don't actually kill him, but he'll die. He won't be able to get out of the ditch. Everyone, they thought this was a good idea. So they grabbed Jayadev Goswami and they broke his arms and legs, and very cruelly they threw him in a ditch. A short while after that, the king, Lakshman Singh, happened to be passing by on that road, and he heard some sound coming from a ditch. Someone was chanting the names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the king, what is this? What is this sound coming out of the ditch? This is very strange. So he looked down in the ditch, and he saw a sadhu there who looked very effulgent. So the king pulled Jayadev out of the ditch. And my God, you look like the moon. You're so effulgent. And he said, what happened to you? And Jayadev, he said, oh, this is my destiny. My destiny caught up with me. This is the attitude of a saintly person. So the king, he could understand that this is a great personality, a powerful sadhu. And he was very, very fortunate to have his association. So he brought him back to his palace, and he engaged his Ayurvedic doctors to heal him. And they put some ointment things on his hands and legs, and after some time he healed. And he told Jayadev then, he said that I've been wanting to have the association of a great Vaishnava for a long time, and now my desire is fulfilled. Please tell me, what service can I do for you? And Jayadev said, my dear king, if you want to do something for me, then you can make some nice food stuffs and some sweets and things, and you give them to Krishna, to Jagannath. And then you take the prasad and you give it to all the devotees. And if you want to do something else, you should serve the Vaishnavas. You should serve the Lord. He began to serve the Vaishnavas. And one day those same thieves who had attacked Jayadev, they heard about the glories of that king. Some people were saying you just go there dressed as a sadhu and he gives you so much wealth and things. So this is very good. So they put on some kunti mala, they put on some tilak, and they came to the king. And as soon as they arrived, one of the first persons who saw them was Jayadev Goswami. And as soon as Jayadev saw them, he became very ecstatic. He said, look, today my senior godbrothers have come. And he greeted them with great respect. He treated them, those thieves, as devotees. And he told the king, these are very elevated devotees. These devotees, their hearts are filled with love of God. And you're very, very fortunate because they've arrived at your house. So you should serve them with faith and devotion. Bless. Whoever's talking in the background, maybe you could kindly mute yourself. If I could request everybody to mute themselves, I'd be grateful. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So the king did like that. And he engaged all his servants in giving very nice foodstuffs to those thieves. But those thieves, they were in great anxiety because they saw Jayadev. They thought, oh, Jayadev's going to turn us in. And the king will kill us. So finally they went to the king and they said, we've been here now long enough. The king said, you've only been here for a few hours. No, we're sadhus. We don't like to stay in one place. It's time for us to go. And the king was begging him, no, you please stay. Jayadev says you're great sadhus. No, we don't want to stay any longer. So then they were going. They insisted on going. And then Jayadev requested the king, please give them enough wealth. They don't have so much wealth. They need money. You give them something. So the king gave them so much things. And then he also sent a few servants and some chokidars along with them to carry their bags and things to their ashram. So they were walking with those thieves, and after a while they stopped somewhere to sit down and rest. And the chowkidars, the guards, they asked those thieves, who looked like devotees, they said, my dear sirs, we've never seen sadhus like you. Many sadhus have come to visit our king, but we've never seen the way the king has served you and the way Jayadev respected you. So please, could you tell us something about your relationship with Jayadev? At that time, one of those thieves spoke up and he said, well, we'll tell you something very confidential, but don't tell everybody this. Previously, your Jayadev, along with us, worked for the king, different king, but he committed a terrible offense, and the king ordered us to kill him. But he was our friend. We didn't want to kill him, so we just broke his arms and legs. And because we showed him this mercy, this is why Jayadev gives us so much respect. So these rascals, these ungrateful persons, when they're speaking like this, suddenly Bhumi Devi, who's Dari Nidara, who tolerates so much, the earth cracked open, and all of those gundas, they fell into the crevice, into that crack, and they disappeared. And the guards were very astonished, and they ran back to Jayadev, and they told him everything had happened. And when Jayadev Goswami heard that, his body started shaking, and he began to cry. He felt very, very unhappy hearing about what had happened to those gundas. And then the king went to Jayadev, and he asked him, my dear Maharaj, he said, please tell me, and these saintly persons fall. Then he told the king, he said, my dear king, no matter how people misbehave as saintly persons, they never retaliate, they never fight back. On the contrary, they always try to do good, even to their enemies. He told them that devotees are always engaged in working for the welfare of all living entities. They're full of compassion. Devotees are sober, they're kind, they have all good qualities. Of saintly person. In the 12th chapter of the Gita, Krishna says, Advaita sarva bhutanam maitra karuna eva cha nirmamo nirahankaraha samadukha sukakshami santushta satatam yogi yatatma dudha nishchayaha mayarpita mano buddhir yomad bhakta same priyaha. He says, Yomad bhakta same priyaha. This is a devotee who's very, very dear to me. He is advaita sarva bhutanam. He's not envious of other living entities. Recently we had a parikrama here in Jagannath Puri, and we were taking around a group of people, a group of devotees. Mostly they were from two countries. They were from Ukraine and they were from Russia. And we didn't find one quarrel the whole time. Rather, everyone was doing kirtan together, and there was no enviousness. It's not, they weren't thinking, oh, this person is from Russia, I'm from Ukraine, this person's my enemy. Rather, they were friendly. This person's a devotee, he's a saintly person. They were very kind to him. They wanted to be maitra, they want to be friends with everyone. They want to show some karuna, some mercy to everyone. Nirmamo nirahankara. They have no sense of proprietorship that this is my country. They have nirahankar, they have no ahankar, no false ego. Samadukha sukakshami. Samadukha sukha, and they're equal, sama, in distress, dukh, in sukh, in happiness, kshama, they're forgiving, they're santushta, they're satisfied with whatever comes. Santushta satatam yogi, they're yogis who are satisfied always with whatever comes naturally. Yatatma dhrita nishchaya. They're atma, yata atma, they're controlled. And dhrita nishchaya, with great determination. Mayarpita mano buddhir. They're always thinking of the Lord. This is the peace formula that the Bhagavad Gita offers. And it's really a non-sectarian peace formula. Our founder of our movement, the Hare Krishna movement, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, once he said that you're a Hindu. He pointed to one person. Another person theoretically said, you're a Christian. Another person said, you're a Muslim. He said, you're good, and you're good. He said, very nice that you believe in God. He said, but where is your love for God? Where is our behavior? Rather than having good behavior, we use these different religious designations that we have. I belong to this organization. This is a good organization. This is a good religion. And this is a bad religion because they're different. Or this person, because they're from this country, they're good. That I was born there. In this other country, they're bad because some people attacked my country. As long as we have this bodily conception, there will always and necessarily be problems in the world. As long as people are eating the bodies of animals, thinking that I can control this living entity, as long as they're not seeing everyone equally, as Krishna says in the Gita, Vidyavanaya Sampani Brahmani Gabihasani Shuni Chaiva Supake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. As long as they don't have that equal vision, there will always and necessarily be war. Irregardless of the economic solutions we offer, the psychological solutions we offer, solutions of politics, or whatever types of solutions, we have to get to the real center of things. We have to do something which is really holistic. People talk about having vegetarian food. People talk about having food which is free from pesticides. They talk about natural living. But real natural living means to understand and respect the source of all of this. And Bhagavan is there. And if we do that, understanding Bhoktaram Yugatapasam, Sarvaloka Mahesham, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, that he's the beneficiary of everything, of all sacrifices and austerities, Sarvaloka Mahesham, he's the supreme controller, Suridam Sarvabhutanam, he's a friend of everyone, of the Russians, of the Ukrainians, of the Americans, of the Indians, of the Chinese, of the Pakistanis, of everyone. If we understand that, we can truly have peace. So Bhagavad Gita really gives the peace formula. So I want to thank all of you very much for peacefully listening to me. I hope that we said this little bit of help for this. I feel very honored again to be requested to take part in such a learned assembly of broad-minded persons who are coming together to have some discussion. I thank you all very much. Jai Jagannath. Hare Krishna. Dr. Devadas, I think maybe they're waiting for you to introduce someone, but I feel maybe your connection's not good.
Yes. I should Where is your connection?
Maharaj, where is connection? Just a minute.
Okay.
Dr. Das, please continue.
Yes, just a minute.
I'll just say a word or two. Sometimes when we're speaking online to people in other countries, I tell them, just pretend that you're hearing from someone in India. Sometimes our internet connections are not so good here in Jagannath Puri. This is not, India is Dharma Bhumi. It's not the place of machines and of money, but the quality of India is Dharma. So Dr. Devdas, maybe you have some reflections or comments you want to offer. I think you want to introduce us to the next speaker. I'm anxious to hear something from him. Hare Krishna.
Can you hear?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
So my video is there?
Yes, it's there.
Okay.
Sir, you're very good with Ayurvedic medicine, but I don't think you're so good with electronic technology things, Dr. Devdas.
Thank you, Prabhu. We have the great leader, the Vaishnava leader from Russia. He is Avadhuta Maharaj, Swami Avadhuta Maharaj. Ma Saraswati is on his throat and is from a new angles, not like a traditional one. So I will not break the time in between Swamiji and you. Really, you experience, when you experience, then you can tell how the great personality we invited today. So I will not tell anything. I will tell after how he'll speak, how he'll interpret about the word, peace, and Gita. Swamiji, so thank you, and I welcome you. You join with us and bless with us and motivate the world. Namaskar. Sri Avadhuta Maharaj, Swami Sri Avadhuta Maharaj.
Hey, Dandavat Pranam to everyone. I don't know if I can, for some reason, I cannot see myself in the camera reflection, but that might be a good thing. Can you guys see that?
Mars, we can see you.
Oh,
We can see you
thank
fine.
so much. First of all, I'd like to address humbly Mr. Prashanta Kumar, who's our president of the meeting, and Madhvananda Prabhu, who's giving very substantial presentation on Gita, and more than that, more than going beyond Gita, because beyond Gita is devotees, such as this Jayadev stories, I think, is giving Bhavishya Purana, but the way devotee is giving that story always has a specific flavor and understanding. Otherwise, stories, they're just like musical melodies, and when some great musician playing, then we can hear them in a different way. So understanding of how to react in our life towards good and bad that coming to us is very important. Otherwise, we might take political party, or we might renounce the world. But as a follower of Srila Govinda Maharaj and Srila Sridhar Maharaj, as you all know, the god brothers of Srila Prabhupada, follow the school of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. We always have to think about spiritual dialectics. What is a spiritual dialectic? Just like Socrates opened us a way of thinking about the world, same as Bhagavad Gita, giving us complete spiritual dialectics, how to understand the world. Without Bhagavad Gita, we're pretty much lost. We're like children, we're blind children. But also this morning, I was listening to Chaitanya Charitamrita of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya Park, Mahaprabhu entering Gita, and there's something that came to my mind. It mentioned that two scriptures are most important, Srimad Bhagavatam and Mahabharata. Well, we all know importance of the Bhagavat, of course, because the Bhagavat is ray of Krishna, but Mahabharata, we're thinking it is giving Vedavyas to Bandhu, the women, the children. So for some reason, in Gaudiya Vaishnavism line, we are not really studying Mahabharata as a part of our daily routine. Mahabharata is a secondary book for us. A lot of us read it. However, if we go to Madhva line, we see Madhva is giving very, very deep entrance and very deep attention to Mahabharata. What is that? Why is that he's giving us that basic understanding of Mahabharata? It's because our life is like war. We're on the verge of every day making decisions. And as I said, in Mahabharata, there are two provocative characters. One provocative character is obviously Krishna, and another provocative character is Shakuni. So both of them provoking things. But it's an interesting way that Krishna is provoking the most spiritual and most deep feelings within our heart in relationship to reality, and Shakuni provoking the most ugly, the most unhuman-like behavior in our life. So when we really look at what's going on in the world today, we can say there's always evil and good is competing. And just like this war in Ukraine, you know, it's just provoking the worst ever possible feeling, because Mahabharata began as a war of rules. And as we heard today from the news, there was some kind of a civilian torture and murder of innocent people happened. Then we can understand certain part of Mahabharata happened like this. In the beginning, they agree, okay, we'll fight this way, we'll fight that way. But as fight increase and tension towards victory increase and hate increase, and you know, human character start decreasing during this war, because that is also war is a circumstance, conditions under which our character is changing or revealing itself. Therefore, the drama writers, they explain us that the character of the drama hero is changed due to circumstance. In other words, if you put somebody in circumstance between life and death, and you'll see what reaction he'll be. You'll see how much he understands Bhagavad Gita, you see how much he understands spiritual knowledge. Otherwise, you know, everybody's can appear to be very qualified while they're speaking on certain philosophical topics, but when the circumstance comes to their personal life, the drama comes to their personal life, whether their family or their work or their health conditions, then we can understand how great Jayadev Goswami is, because coming into very, very difficult circumstance when he technically, you know, unjustly tortured by the Gundas and lying in a ditch, dying, the king is trying to discover him and saying, well, what happened to you? And he is answering to him, well, whatever happened to me is happened to me by my own will. In other words, it's a very, very self-critical approach and situation. Jayadev is not trying to blame the Gundas or the environment. So Srila Sridhar Maharaj said, never blame the environment, always try to find something within you. And it is very difficult for us to understand, because we normally are looking for outside of ourselves and looking for some enemy, and that's what public love to find the public enemy, the public looking for in media and violence or something to put their hate and to put their opinion onto it, but no one normally thinking whatever happens, I'm responsible for. I'm the person by which, you know, inaction or action, bad things happens in the world. So Madhvananda Prabhu is giving us very, very good way to understand the teachings of Gita. And in Srila Sridhar Maharaj's dialectics, it's the formula is this, the magic formula is don't blame the environment, try to always adjust yourself. Because there are a bunch of people that are trying to change the world, but they're not prepared to change themselves. And if everyone try to adjust himself and adjust instead of trying to change the world become a better place, because, you know, just think of this, if people become followers of Shri Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, who's gonna express the violence? There's not gonna be any ignorant people. But when we try to blame on each other and say, hey, you better act differently, you better act better, without acting ourselves in the proper way, then we see the world as a consequences. So the magic formula of Bhagavad Gita is don't try to change the environment, try to change yourself. However, it's an interesting way that we can see in the Gita, in Mahabharata, there are two characters, one's Uddhava and one's Arjuna. So what is the difference between Uddhava and Arjuna? Once I asked Govinda Maharaj a question, why did Uddhava take sannyas and he went to Himalayas? And why he did not participate in any of the mass of that time? And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, first, I don't remember. Then suddenly something came to his heart and he started pouring many slokas of Mahabharata and the Gita and scriptures. And in basic conclusions, he's explained Krishna wants his devotee to go and purify the holy places. And Krishna does not want his devotees such as Uddhava, who's in the highest level, to participate in the mass. However, the Arjuna was chosen to, to fix the justice of this world. So, we always say Mahabharata and Bhagavad Gita is all about justice, it's all about dharma. However, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to show us the mercy. So the slogan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is mercy over justice. And Jayadev Goswami, with all his unique heart, how much his heart unique we know according to his poetry. That's how much we understand how the simple heart could compose something such amazing. That heart of Jayadev Goswami, we can understand how wonderful his devotional personality is hiding under his external facade. So giving us that incredible mercy, which is Mahaprabhu brought to the world, that is the solution to the world. Otherwise, right now, if we will try to establish the justice of this world, and again, war, it's an attempt to establish the justice. And sooner or later, justice will be established. But if we go back to Mahabharata, then you all remember the story when Ashwatthama was punished by Krishna and Draupadi lost her 5 sons. Then Krishna almost forced Arjuna and Draupadi to kill Ashwatthama. He said to Arjuna, "Oh, you promised to cut head of this person. Why can't you cut head of this person?" Then Arjuna looked at Draupadi, but Draupadi is with her own eyes saying, "No, you should not kill this person." And Krishna said, "Why not? He's a great Kshatriya. He's giving his word. If he's giving the word kill, he must kill." Then Draupadi said, "No. How is that killing son of our guru will give to our family fulfillment of us losing our own children? Although he murdered our children, but we will not be able to, with his death, repay our pain." So mercy over justice. At this very moment, Krishna as a provoker, Draupadi to show what is the high level of devotional heart. Although on expense death of her own children, Draupadi is giving absolute mercy to Ashwatthama, and Ashwatthama came alive. Interestingly, Madhvacharya is giving his own commentary on that story. He's telling, after Ashwatthama will be suffer for all his, reactions for what he's done, and the next Manvantara, he become next Manu. In other words, not only Draupadi is showing great mercy, not only Arjuna showing great compassion by not, follow his own word, just cutting his own shikha, but also Ashwatthama, who is part of that violence, getting relief, but after long time of penances and rethinking his own position. So anyway, that was a few words that I want to mention about Bhagavad Gita, Mahabharata, and I believe there were so much spoken already today by great souls that to digest everything we've spoken is require a lot of thinking, a lot of process, because I was very happy to hear that story of Madhavananda Prabhu of Jayadev Goswami, because I think I've read it by Vishnu Puran a long time ago, but that story hasn't came to me and that feeling and mood as it came today, which means really, if it's not coming from devotee, it doesn't have the same taste. Everything coming from devotee has a devotional taste. Otherwise, this could be like gyan, intelligence, or historical or Puranic reference. But everything comes from devotee. That's what we have to appreciate, because anything comes from devotee comes with a specific vibe, specific mood, specific taste and giving us that medicine. That's why we're not going to medical shop to buy the medicine. We're going to Dr. Das. And Dr. Das very simply might be giving us the same medicine, but coming from the hands of a devotee, that medicine has different power. And the power of that, whatever comes from devotee, is to cure our heart. Because we might be thinking, I have a leg problem, I have a head problem, I have a neck problem. But actually, we all have only one problem, it's lack of Krishna consciousness. So thank you all for being able to share with you and hear from you, and to share this Krishna consciousness, which is a wonderful gift of our Guru Varga and Srila Prabhupada and so many wonderful devotees. And telling that in this very difficult time, which is coming, we should try to adjust ourselves, because as Lao Tzu, the Chinese philosopher, said, you cannot change the wind, you can change your sail. Because the wind is in hands of the karma and the Lord, but your own ship is under your sail. But if you're on a ship of Guru and Vaishnava, then it's much easier to travel towards this ocean of material frustrations, misery, and material life. My Dandavat Pranam. I'm giving back to Dr. Das.
So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Das.
Over to Prasanna Babu.
Thank you, Madhavendra Das Ji and Swamiji, Abhadutta Maharaj. You have narrated the theme in a better manner. Now this is the right time for the participants to interact with our honorable resource persons. If the participants, they have any question, doubt, or if they want to give some sort of suggestions, they can also give their comments. So this is the right time for esteemed participants to interact with our resource persons, dear participants.
Namaskar. So my question is to Madhavananda Das sir, and that is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. How it is benefit for peace of mind?
Okay, thank you very much. How is chanting the Lord's names beneficial for peace of mind? Well, I could tell you many spiritual kind of things, which honestly we may not have so much time to discuss, and frankly not everyone may have so much faith in. But one simple point is there. If we understand there's someone bigger than me, we understand that there's someone who's in control of things, and we surrender ourselves to that person, and we glorify their names, then that gives peace in the world. But in a higher level, if we call out the Lord's names and wanting to serve Him in a very humble, peaceful way, then that'll give so much better, higher consciousness. Is that helpful? A simple answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any question? Your participants, when you are asking questions, please mention whom you want to ask the question.
I would like to make a quick comment if I can. I don't see him here now. Maybe Avadut Maharaj had to go, or maybe he's on a different line or something. But I just want to thank him very much for reminding me of someone very, very special in our life, and that's Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, who my revered spiritual master, Sri Srimad Gaur Govinda Maharaj, was very, very appreciative of. Thank you very much, Maharaj, for presenting his teachings in such a beautiful way. Thank you for what you're doing. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Sadhvat Pranam. It is our great fortune to come and connect with line of living by names. And as Guru Maharaj would say, they don't like to chew the chew, not to repeat basically some statement, is process them to the depth of their heart and giving the new, fresh nectar-like stuff. So thank you so much. And of course, we do so much for Srila Guru Govinda Maharaj for giving a very special gift of a spiritual wealth to devotees and add a lot of divine nectar to our Krishna conscious movement. Dandavat Pranam.
So, Mr. Suresh Chandra Mishra was asking, does chanting Hare Krishna bring concentration to the mind? Well, what is it? How does our mind become concentrated on something? When we have affection for it. Just like a boy, you don't have to tell a boy to concentrate his mind on his girlfriend. It comes natural. Tate Krishna Bhaji Kori Guru Sevan. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said that our Nam Bhajan, or our chanting of Hare Krishna, should be done as a service for Guru, a service for someone that we love. And when we're doing it with that kind of mentality, then that affection arises in our heart, and then the mind automatically goes there. We don't have to tell the mind. It's not like a practice of yoga. We're trying to force the mind to yama, niyama, to concentrate on something, but it's natural. That's my humble thought. Maybe Avadut Maharaj would like to add something more.
Yes, Prabhu, what you've said is the absolute greatest recipe that we all heard from our acharyas. However, it's all depending on level of faith, because holy name is Abhitwam Naminam, and it's not different than Lord. So according to one's faith and spiritual fortune, it comes to each with different understanding. Like Mahaprabhu say, Chaita Dvarpana Marjana Mahadvapani Nirvapanam. First, you have to Chaita Dvarpa Marjanam. Like just Gundicha Marjan Seva of Mahaprabhu, clean temple of your mind, clean temple of your heart, then holy name will shine. Otherwise, if your heart and mind are impure, how Krishna will live there? So beginning of the faith in holy name of sadhu sangha, association with devotees, just like naturally hearing by Madhvananda and other devotees, the lady, respected lady, had some natural question that came to her heart. We was not discussing holy name, but through hearing some, Gita conclusions and devotional discussion, naturally faith in holy name came. Otherwise, why you ask about holy name? It was not the topic of the conversation. So thank you so much, dear respected lady. And you see that conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita and the scriptures is to glorify Sri Krishna Sankirtanam, to glorify Krishna. And that is the beginning, middle, and end. So whatever we're speaking today, the end of the story is to glorify Sri Krishna and his holy name. And that is the religion of Kali Yuga. Otherwise, we could be a bunch of intellectuals and speaking about so many different scriptures and so many different social things and psychological things and other things. But the answer is always very simple. Nama Sankirtana Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam. Accepting holy name, and through that faithful chanting of holy name, Sarva Papa Pranashanam, all misconceptions will leave us. That's actually the idea of Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, which means change yourself, don't try to change the world. My Dandavat Pranam.
Sir, there is a question from Priyabrata Mahapatra, sir. That is, what is the medium to connect Krishna in today's world?
how to connect Krishna into the
The question is for whom?
To whom you ask, madam?
Swamiji, one participant is asking one question. What is the medium to connect Krishna in today's world? It's a question for Swami Avadut Maharaj.
Oh, okay.
What is the
my
medium?
Pranam.
One question from one participant. That what is the medium to connect Krishna in the present world or today's world?
Dandavad Pranam, very good question. I'm sure Madhvananda Prabhu also has a lot to add to this, but let's put this way, Krishna already everywhere. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajanti mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. I'm everywhere. I'm source of everything. However, in the ignorance, people thinking, oh, God is not involved. God is not here. We cannot see God. This is Prahlad Maharaj's conversation with his father. His father, great demon, Hiranyakashipu, asking Prahlad, where do you see God? But God is Vishnu hiding in his own heart. Then Prahlad Maharaj tells to his father, where you don't see God? I see God everywhere and you don't see God anywhere. So there's two kind of Sura and Asura mentality. So when through connection with Sankirtan, Harikatha, an auspicious environment sometimes means also suffering, because after this war, people will be more receptive. We're thinking like, oh, war and dying is a problem, but everybody dying in this world, whether with war or without war, people dying. They're dying every moment. But when they're dying and realizing suffering, then maybe some humility comes. So when humility comes, then by Krishna's will, some understanding and listening quality comes. Otherwise, people are not listening. So when that circumstance will come, some Bhagavanji, fortunate soul, will hear Krishna Kirtan, they will hear Krishna Katha, and they will connect. Dandavats. Maybe Madhvananda Prabhu has something to offer in that question.
This question often comes up because people, when we see a monk like Avadut Maharaj, then we may think, oh, the only way to become God conscious is if I shave my head and I put on saffron cloth and I go live in the mud. But that's not the conclusion of the Vedic literatures. Narad Muni once, he went to Lord Vishnu and he asked him, who's the greatest devotee? And Lord Vishnu, because Narad Muni was thinking, I'm the greatest devotee. And Lord Vishnu at that time told him, well, actually, there's this Grihastha devotee who's living with a family, and he's my greatest devotee. And Narad Muni said, really? Yes. And Lord Vishnu told him, you should go there invisibly and stay with him during the day and just watch him. And so Narad Muni went there, and he saw that man got up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and there was no Mangal Artik, there was no japa, there was no nothing. He just got up and immediately had to help his wife take care of the children. Then he went out to the fields, and he was working hard all day, and there was no bhajan, there was no kirtan or anything. And Narad Muni watched him the whole day. He went back to Lord Vishnu and he said, how is this guy the greatest devotee? He's not doing any bhajan or anything. And then Lord Vishnu asked him, he said, well, during this day, how many times did you think of me? And Narad Muni said, well, to tell you the truth, I didn't think of you at all. I was just exhausted just watching this guy work so hard. And Lord Vishnu told him, yes, but this man was constantly absorbed in thinking of me. And therefore Krishna Gita says, Mamana bhavamad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru, that you should think of me constantly, be my devotee. So how can we do that? It's not that we have to change everything. It's not that we have to give up our families, we have to shave our heads. We should do whatever situation is right for us to worship the Lord. But in this day and age, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam kalo nasteva 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 gatiranyata. We should take shelter of the holy name. And whether someone is a grihastha, whether someone is a sannyasi, it really doesn't matter in this age. but everyone should take advantage of the holy name. Could you imagine if people all over the world, instead of reading CNN, instead of watching the news and saying so much nonsense things, if everyone were coming together and chanting the names of God, what the world would be like. It would be a completely different world today. That's our hope. That's the real peace formula. And anyone can take advantage of that. If you can't take advantage of that, it means that Jagannath is not Bhagavan. It means Krishna is not Bhagavan. But because they are Bhagavan, then anyone can connect with him. Because he's the father of all living entities. Anyone can connect with him in any situation. I hope that's helpful. I feel embarrassed speaking in front of Avadut Maharaj. It's nice to have you here in Puri, Maharaj. I hope maybe I can get a little bit of your Sangha or something. It's nice to see you. I think you're in Dr. Devdas's home right now, are you?
Yes. There's the evidence. The real evidence.
Pranam, sir. Sir, my question is for Swami Adbhut Maharaj. So, what are the powerful ways to achieve blessings of God?
Your question is very, very good, because we always need to think that without blessing of God, nothing is possible. Mukam kaloti vachanam pangum langate girim yat kripatam vande paramananda madhavam. This is a very famous sloka. But it is also says, Shri Guru Dinu Tarinam. We are connecting with God when we connect with devotee. And sometimes Krishna come in form of Guru directly, sometimes Krishna come in form of devotee, which is also means Guru indirectly, just like Madhvananda today giving us so many wonderful things. It is also Guru coming to us. Or some other lady asking us question about holy name. It is also, we can say, without Lord inspiration in the heart, she could not answer this question. So also we can trace presence of Krishna in everybody's heart. So depending on our vision, but the beginning of our auspiciousness is connection with devotees. Sadhu Sangha Satovare. Once we connect with devotees, we're in a safe position. Dandavad Pranam.
Hello. Hello, sir. Pranam. Hello.
Yes, Mataji, you can ask.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is for Madhvananda Guru, sir. Sir, as I'm a student, I am now studying and learning different things, and I am also meeting different kind of people. So please, sir, give some moral advice to me how to keep myself in a stable condition, and also how to handle every situation peacefully without any kind of problem.
You should be very careful about your association, please. If we associate with drunkards, if we associate with angry people, if we associate with gundas, then we'll become a drunkard, we'll become an angry gunda. And if we associate with saintly persons, we'll become saintly. Please take time and try to associate with sadhus. But how do we associate with sadhus? We don't associate with sadhus just by having our photo taken next to them, or even just by giving them some dakshina or something. We associate with sadhus by hearing from them. We see a sadhu with the ears. Chutekshita pata. So we should go and hear from such a person. And the Srimad Bhagavatam describes that shoka, moha, bhayapaha. It describes 3 external symptoms of hearing Krishna Katha from a sadhu. That's all shok, all moha, and all bhaya. Fear, lamentation, and illusion, they all go away if we just hear Krishna Katha from a sadhu. Such a wonderful thing. Someone who's speaking not for the purpose of collecting money, not for the purpose of getting followers or being famous or trying to sell something, but someone who's just speaking just for the purpose of pleasing Guru and Krishna. And that, it feels so liberating, so happy to the heart to hear that kind of katha, because there's no one who speaks like that. Please, you try to get association like that. And there are many different temples, both with ISKCON and Gaudiya Math, many different mandirs you can go to where they're speaking Krishna Katha, they're hearing Bhagavatam. You please do that. That's my humble thought. Maybe Avadut Maharaj wants to add something more, I don't know.
Okay, sir. Thank you for your advice.
Thank you. It's a very beautiful question.
Thank you, sir. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Hare Krishna. Most people don't even have such questions. We just want to eat and sleep and how can I enjoy myself. It's very, very thoughtful, very rare person who's thoughtful enough to ask such a question. You're very special. Thank you. Anyone else is there? I'd like to ask something from Avadut Maharaj or perhaps myself.
None, sir. My question is for Madhavananda Das ji. Sir, how can Bhagavad Gita change the war between Russia and Ukraine?
How can Bhagavad Gita solve the war between Russia and Ukraine? Well, already Bhagavad Gita is doing that to some extent. We're in touch. We have one Ukrainian devotee staying with us here in our ashram here in Puri, and we're in touch with many, many different Krishna devotees in Ukraine. And an amazing thing is happening, just like Avadut Maharaj was saying earlier. He said something which some people might find a little provocative, a little controversial, but because he's a sadhu, he speaks in a very straight way. But Maharaj, he said that actually this war, in the end, it may be helpful because it'll make people thoughtful. And so we have some friends in Dnipro. Actually, for over 10 years, my wife and I have been going to Ukraine and doing kathas, and sometimes we also go to Russia, St. Petersburg or Moscow or other places and speak there also. But we have a lot of friends in Dnipropetrovsk. And one of them wrote to us and they said, for so many years we've tried distributing books and talking to people. They have Rath Yatra there. There's so many things, but people are not so much interested. He said, then the war came. And now all of a sudden they're distributing over 2,000 plates of vegetarian prasadam food every day to people. And people who previously didn't care anything about the Hare Krishna movement or Bhagavad Gita or anything, now they're bringing sacks of flour and rice and things and giving it to the devotees. People now, they're coming to the temple to help cut vegetables and things. And when they're there, they sit in the kirtan and they sit in the class and they hear Bhagavad Gita. And the people, they're coming and they're crying. They're saying, we're in so much anxiety right now. I don't know if my mother, my father is still alive. They're in Mariupol. They're in a very difficult situation. But coming here, this is an oasis. This is a place of peace. So Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the time of a war. Bhagavad Gita is meant for war. Bhagavad Gita is a literature which can help us to find peace in the war. But we have to take shelter of Bhagavad Gita and not just hold the book up. Let me see, here's my Bhagavad Gita. Not just hold the book up and say, oh, this is Bhagavad Gita, this is such an important book, and it just sits on my shelf all day long and I never read the book. But Bhagavad Gita needs to be lived, and we need to meet people who are living Bhagavad Gita. So it's not that the people in Ukraine and Russia now, in both places I have friends who are looking for answers, who are in great anxiety. It's not just that we come and say, hey, here's this book. That's nice, and this book can give so much information. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it said Dui Bhagavata. There are two Bhagavats. There's a Grantha Bhagavat, and there's a Krishna Kripa Patra, or the Bhakta Bhagavat. And people need to see some example. So when things are going very good and there's peace in the world and there's so much prosperity and money, we don't take things so seriously. But when there's war, then we can see the real qualities of a person. So my humble thought in answer to your question is that Bhagavad Gita can accomplish peace in this conflict if people begin to live the Bhagavad Gita. Not just hold it up alone, but to live the principles of the Gita. And you can't hide that. You can't cheat people. That when people see that, that will touch their heart, like is happening in Dnipropetrovsk. So I hope that's helpful. And maybe Maharaj has some other comments he wants to add.
Thank you, Madhvananda Prabhu. It's very deep what you describing. It's very difficult to add something on the plate when it's full of nectar. However, we all know that we all need that conscious presence through spiritual association. Just like right now, we're supporting each other, we're supporting whoever is there, Ukraine, Russia, or India. We need to continue this, and this is called Sankirtan. Because Sankirtan is just singing songs, which people think mistakenly for holy name, because holy name is something comes out of consciousness. Very melodic or very maybe non-melodic. Somebody did not accept music, accept mood, or spirit of teaching, spirit of sharing, spirit of discussing this thing. Really make us strong, a group of followers and believers. As Krishna is saying, Gita, Mad Chita, Mad Gata, we're sharing things. What we're doing right now is sharing things, and that take us away from the reality, a low level reality, take us to the higher reality.
Namaskar. Namaskar, Pranam. Pranam and Dandavat to Madhavendra Das Maharaj and Swami Abadut Maharaj. I never find words to speak about your thoughts and expression, particularly the clarifications raised by different participants. Thank you so much again. Now I invite Mr. S.K. Panigrahi, the trustee of Art of Bliss, to propose a vote of thanks. Mr. S.K. Panigrahi.
Namaskar to all of you. I am very happy and feel honored to propose a vote of thanks to our honorable guests, Madhavananda Das ji, Director of Gora, Gaudiya Odisha Research Association, USA, Swami Avadhuta Maharaj, leading monk from Moscow, Russia, Dr. Prasanna Kumar Mahapatra sir, respected Chairman of Art of Bliss Odisha, as well as the convener of this webinar, coordinator of this webinar, Professor Dr. Devaprasad Das sir, Nodal Officer, Ayush Odisha, Program Coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Saroj Khan Chaudhary sir, Associate Professor, Rajdhani Government College, Bhubaneswar, Assistant Coordinator of this webinar, Dr. Dayanidhi Das sir, Mrs. Banalata Mahapatra Madam, Trustee of Art of Bliss Odisha, Ms. Priyadarshini Naik Madam, Secretary of Art of Bliss Odisha, and Honorable Professor from the different universities and colleges, respected teachers and teacher educators from different schools and institutions, other participants present in this webinar, and other members associated with this program also. I express my gratitude before our honorable guests, as they have given their valuable time to us to transmitting the real knowledge on the theme relevance of Srimad Bhagavat Geeta for global peace in present time by citing many beautiful examples from Srimad Bhagavat Geeta with different religious and spiritual sources based on philosophical, psychological, sociological, and scientific outlook, with groom their own realization. Really, at the very context of war and conflict, their message definitely raise the light of peace in our mind, heart, and soul, which will help us to maintain the peaceful and the blissful life. Lastly, again, I extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you. Thanks, sir. Thanks, namaskar.
नमस्कार.
Thank you. Namaskar, pranam to all. Now the webinar is over. Thank you so much and pranam to
नमस्कार.
Namaskar. Namaskar.
ଆଜ୍ଞା ଦେବାକୁ କୁଆଡ଼େ ଗଲେ?
What did you